How's it going, guys? Just making a video on the last knife I finished up. It's a kind of a neat little Puukko. It's a short one, but it's a pretty handy size. The blade is 2.5 inches. Hand forged, of course, from 1080 high carbon. And the handle is made out of oak from an old uprooted tree stump that I've been saving for a long time. And it's got some pretty neat grain in it. Came out nicer than I was expecting. And on the back there's a elk antler cap, and you can kind of see that's the outer part of the antler left in the natural color on the back there, and you can see some of the it's the inside part there, but that's all kind of filled up and sealed with Danish oil, which the handle is finished with, so it's not really porous anymore, and it was pretty hard anyways. But it's not showing up the greatest on the webcam here, but if you check out the link in the description to eBay, you can see all the pictures of it. And I've got it listed on there for 150 bucks, but any of you watching this, feel free to make an offer for 10% off, which would be 135. And make sure you, if anybody out there wants to buy this, buy through the link there, because that supposedly saves me the seller's fee, which is 10%. I say supposedly because it almost sounds kind of too good to be true, and so far I haven't had anybody attempt to use that link yet that I know of. It gives me a, calls it the personal link whenever I make a listing. It gives me a link to it that supposedly I can share with people and not pay fees on it. So I'll definitely pass along that 10% to you, anybody watching this. And typical Puukko sheath with a wooden liner. It's got a pretty good fit, but it's kind of tough to do one-handed, tough to get in there, and even tougher to take out while using the camera with one hand. But I really like the way this knife came out, the design of the handle. It was actually a little bit of an accident. I was going to just do it just wood, without the antler, and round over the end, and I started doing that, and then I decided the handle was a little bit too long, so I took a little bit off the end with a bandsaw, and I ended up cutting into the hole for the tang, which goes almost, the tang goes almost all the way through the wooden part. It's pretty close, and the hole was just a little bit longer than the tang, so I ended up opening up into that hole, so I had to come up with something to cover it with, and I remembered a couple of pieces of that antler that I had laying around, and so that's not just epoxied onto the end. What I did was I drilled into the back side of the antler and put a couple of nails in there. I snipped the head off of a couple of drywall nails and sunk those down into the antler and epoxied them into place, and then marked and drilled pilot holes for them into the wood part of the handle, and nailed them into there with more epoxy and leather spacer in between. So, that's not going to come loose and fall off. It's on there for good. And 3 pieces of leather up here with a couple of black fiber spacers in between. It's kind of a nice subtle look, just add a little extra visual interest to it. And this thing, needless to say, is razor sharp. Takes a hair off my arm like a razor, and I tested it on some receipt paper, which normally is harder to slice cleanly through than, you know, like regular printer paper, and it sliced right through it with no problem. No rough spots on the edge. So there you go. Just wanted to show that knife off a little bit. I do like this one, but it can be yours. So I will talk to you later. Thanks for watching.